Okay, so I am teaching the Mirlocks today. It's kind of an obscure thing. I hope it's the most obscure thing of all camp this week because it's very specific, very old school, and very weird. And there's some nuance to it. And there's a lot of details. So we're going over first what Mirlock is. Kind of a cousin to an Americana, just the elbows in a different place. So once you get to know the mechanics of what the Mirlock is, then you can start to see it kind of everywhere. Similar to like a wrist lock. Like as soon as you're like, oh, the mechanics of a wrist lock, like their class last year was like, once I trap the elbow, now I can see that wrist lock from anywhere. So mechanics are very important in understanding in jiu-jitsu. Once you're understanding where those mechanics are, you can start to really apply them in a holistic way. So going to my guard, sir. Let's go this way. So I didn't talk to Frank Mir about this position, but I talked to somebody who he trained with. So I kind of get a little bit of a history of the move from the person that invented it, because it's named after Frank Mir. He started in close guard. He loved to play overhook game. So he would play this overhook game, and eventually there'd be a lot of this space. And when he'd get this overhook game, he'd shoot the overhook to the point where now there's this pocket. So if I can get the elbow in this pocket, I can start to manipulate the shoulder. So this is essentially what the Mirlock is. And I'm going to show you like a million different ways to get to the Mirlock, why it's important, structurally how to keep it, and how to use it to sweep, how to make your Mirlocks better if you already use them. So that's sort of the goal today of what I'm going to try to do. But yeah, so basically he would start with an overhook, and then he would move, as you saw, I moved out and then a little bit sideways to create that space to put this elbow in this pocket. So once it's in the pocket, immediately it starts getting tight, right? Now I want this elbow as far laterally as possible. I don't want it to be like out yet. I want it to be in first. And then once I go out, the tap is quicker. Because once I put the elbow in, the rotation of the shoulder is really, really tight. So now, as soon as I start to pop out, you're going to get the tap quick. If they're flexible, then we'll have sweeps from here. Because if you're not getting the tap really quickly, you can always sweep afterwards. So we'll go over that later. But again, from the start, we'll just work on like finding where the basic Mirlock is first and sort of work where that is comfortable. Now, my tips on how to sort of find the Mirlock range-wise is I like to find the back of my hand and find his elbow. So a lot of times, like, I know that I'll flare my arm out. And in conventional jiu-jitsu, people say don't flare your elbows out. I flare it out just so I can find the distance and then shoot it in. Right? Because I want that space. So if I can make the bend, normally he'll try to get like an underhook. I love like shallow underhooks because a Mirlock is basically a test of where his underhooks are. If they're all the way in, I can't get the Mirlock. If he's all the way out, I can't get like all the way out. I can't get the Mirlock. So if he's halfway, which is not an underhook, it's just whatever, I'm just hanging out. He's just hanging out with his arm. That's where my Mirlock is. Right? This isn't really an underhook. This is an underhook. Right? Now he's controlling stuff. So in this like middle ground where he's not really controlling anything, that's where my Mirlock is. And believe me, everybody has lazy underhooks. Everybody does. So you'll catch people in the gym with us all the time, and you'll start to trick them and train them into having better underhooks by catching them in more Mirlocks in the future. So I hope you do that and catch everybody in your gym with it. So I'd like to find the back of the elbow with the back of my hand, and that's the perfect, and I just shoot that through. Now, you can brace on your own leg. I like to brace on my arm so I can use that to protect. Because the way to get out of a Mirlock is, again, either in or out, right? If I don't have anything to brace, he'll grab my head, he'll pull himself in and shoot this arm through, and now I'm in sort of a smash position. If I'm in half guard, this sucks even more, right? I mean, I'm in a guard, so it's a little less suck, but still I don't like it. So this protects me from getting bullied into me, right? So now he starts to grab my head. I can always check. So now I can keep that. I can keep him at bay. Once the elbow is enough in, he doesn't want to go out. Because if he starts to go out, he's sort of submitting himself, right? Like I want it so far over that him going out is going to submit himself. And if he comes in, I have this protection, right? So as I'm bracing, I'm reinforcing, and all I need to do is slowly raise my body outward. So I don't want to use any of my arms. I'm not pulling. I'm creating a structure, like a lot of jiu-jitsu. Right? I'm creating a structure and using my whole body to use that structure, right? I'm using the structure because maybe he's twice as big as me, maybe he's like 3 times as strong, maybe he's, I don't know. I assume everybody's better and stronger than me, which is probably a good assumption. But so I want to make sure I'm using as little strength as possible and more structure. And this is just, we're just going to go over the basic Mir-lock today, and then, well, right now, and then we're going to go into more sort of different positions where you can find it, where you can see it, and stuff like that. So again, start from the beginning, close guard, play your overhook theme. He's going to have a shitty underhook. Or sorry, for YouTube, a really bad underhook. So, and you can push him out a little bit to make that space if you need to. I just want that little pocket, right? And again, it's so natural to me, like, I just hang out with my elbow here. Because I almost kind of wanted to get an underhook. I'm like, yeah, get an underhook. Like, sure, I'm just going to do that. Right? Like, very little times when people shoot that underhook so far in, like, usually I can bring that in pretty easy. Now I got here, and I'll lock it. I'll, like, really just lock it all into place. And now, like, if I want to get the tap, I can slowly, I'm just, like, bringing my back backwards. Everything's locked in tight. And this is always cognizant of where he's going to go. In half guard, this could be block and hit, but we'll go over that later. Any questions so far? As I reorient myself. Questions? Yes.
Was your left foot on the floor?
Yes. Once I lock the Mir-lock, I'm not really worried about my closed guard anymore because he's so stuck, he can't go out. So if he wants to leave, I want his elbow so far in that once he leaves, he's submitting himself. So at that point, I'm like, I can open my guard. Any other questions?
Would there ever be an instance where you grab the air lapel and you shoot through, or is there just too much give?
Like,
Driving your forearm, you're grabbing the lapel.
like this?
Yeah.
That's more of like an overhook game. Like,
Okay.
you can only go so far deep if you grab the lapel. I want to go deep, right? Like, I want past that lapel. Especially, you have flexible shoulders for most.
Rotator cuff surgery. I'm good.
Oh, good. I was gonna say, most men in our gym have very inflexible shoulders, and I apologize to the men in our gym, but you do. But when I run into somebody who has really flexible shoulders, I need to dive that in a little bit deeper. So sometimes when I get right here, sometimes it'll work, but I want to go as deep as possible. And also take care of your friend's shoulders today, like kind of warm them up a little bit before you do it. Like there is going to be a lot of torque on the shoulders today. Maybe switch sides if you're comfortable with both sides, but don't, like a wrist lock, don't just like jam it in. Like really like find it and sort of go slow, right? I'm not like, like really like shooting it over. Like you can in a tournament if you don't care about your opponent, but like I care about our friends here. So make sure you take care of their shoulders so we can do this for an hour. Any other tools? Yeah, don't break your toy. That's a good one.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So you're sending that hand through like into your own pocket on the side, or you want more across your wrist?
Rotate. So when I shoot, I could brace, or what I like to do is I'll put it on my own arm, so I could sort of use both my arms as a lock. So even on my own leg, sometimes that could slip off. Like even if I grip, like it'll slip off. This tends to be a little more stronger in my opinion, in my experience. Like I'll get here, and I can also brace and protect myself from his arm if it's in half guard, his head coming forward. So I want to keep him, because the only way he can really defend is coming into me. And if he comes out, then he'll submit himself. So I kind of want him to be in a situation where he's like, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Any other questions? Cool. Awesome. Let's try this. I don't normally clap, so it's good.
Okay.
Okay, so from close guard, you kind of all notice it's hard to get the bend in the elbow. I don't prefer the close guard version of this as much as I do the half guard version. A couple of things to get your close guard version better that I didn't go over because I didn't want to inundate everybody with so many details, is as I hip out, I shoot in. So it's kind of like I don't hip out and then wait to shoot in, like two separate moves. I sort of like, as I'm hipping out, I shoot in at the same time. So then I can create the bend a little quicker and easier. You'll notice that it is hard to create the bend sometimes. And if he bends the opposite direction, it gives me an omoplata. And if he doesn't bend, he gives me a short arm bar. So either way, from close guard, it's very safe. And there's other options. Although, I don't like this one. I like the half guard version better. So, in half guard, I love to play this low, lazy underhook. How many people are lazy half guard players? Raise your hand. Yes. Yes. My people. So, we have a lot of wrestlers in our gym. And if I go here, my upper with a high underhook, I get darts because they're so quick and so good at it. So I started to go really low with my underhooks. And then I'm like, I'm so lazy. I don't want to really fight. I don't want to dog fight up. So I'd like kind of wait. And they want the underhook too, right? Because half guard is like an underhook battle half the time. So when they want the underhook, that gives me that perfect timing. And I can see it so far away, right? Like if we're here and we're like underhook battling, like we're so tight, like I can't really predict a lot of movements. When we're so far away, I can see that movement coming from a mile away. So I rest my arm and I wait. And when he wants that underhook, I can always time it really well. And see how I use my hips a little bit to like make the bend. Same distance, right? Back of the hand, back of the elbow. Same here. Now with this, I'm worried about the hip, right? Because before his hip wasn't as annoying. He can use his hip to barrel into me, and I don't want that. So this is both arm and hip, face, shoulder protection, whatever he uses to try to put himself into me to get this in, right? Once he comes in with it, now I don't have the mirror lock anymore. So with this, same thing. Everything's locked. I'll use my knee shield on the hip as distance as well. So sort of my whole body is the tool here. And again, everything locks in. I back away, and he's going to tap eventually. Unless you're that guy with the super flexible shoulders. But, sorry, and I'm going slow. Shoulders are, yeah, that's good. Shoulders are really, everybody's shoulders are so fragile, except for his. But yeah, that's, and I'm not really worried about him going away. I'm not worried about him coming in because I have all of these safety measures, right? Like most submissions is a position, right? So I'm using this submission as a position. And so even with somebody with flexible shoulders, say, and I'm not going to go too far back, I love the half guard version because if it doesn't work, I'll just John Wayne step back and come up. Now the beauty of the John Wayne from here, and I can get it from half guard, side control, no matter if I swept him or not. You can say if I just pass his guard and we're side control. Back of the hand, back of the elbow. If I can scoop it and get it from here, I get the same submission. Again, see I'm blocking the hip like I did before. So once you see the mechanic of elbow has to come in, bite, and then if I can rotate it, now I can see that mirror lock from anywhere. From my position, even from top, right? Again, if we rotate the position here, he wants that lazy underhook, I can get the mirror lock from here too. I just need that bend, so I can force the bend with this. Back the elbow, bends it down, and I can get that here. Again, if he doesn't, it's a straight arm. I prefer from the bottom because, again, lazy half guard player. I almost always prefer half guard from bottom because it's the laziest way to do guard. Anyway, but from side control, again, same mechanics, right? Back of the hand, back of the elbow. If I can see the bend, sometimes I'll force the bend here, come up, and now I got that bend. And again, all I'm doing is raising. With this, I have to come up this way. It's hard to go this way sometimes. If I go this way, no more time. And again, if it doesn't work, like, I'm just back on top. Some people have different flexibility in shoulders. I just run into a lot of people with inflexible shoulders in our gym. So therefore, I tap them very quickly because they're like, out shoulders. Yes?
When you say you force the bend, what exactly are you doing there?
If I'm going to bend, I will push that in.
Oh.
Force the bend.
Got it.
So I will sometimes push it in. Also, my back of my elbow back of my hand happens to be perfectly at the elbow. Scoop. Same thing if he doesn't want to bend. Force the bend. Scoop. Now I got everything. Now I can scoop. Again, same mechanics, right? Like once you're in the mirror lock, the mechanics are the same. But getting the mirror lock. So like, there's two phases, right? To most things, it's how do I see it? And therefore, how does it work mechanically? And then once you figure it out mechanically, then you can see it from other positions, top, bottom, side, everything. And then you can start to apply the same finish usually in every position, right? Arm bars, everything. Like, oh, I know arm bars from bottom, top, side, everything, mount. But the finish is usually the same mechanics. So once I started seeing this everywhere, I'm like, oh, I just need to bend in the elbow. I need to get that pocket, reinforce, and the finish is the same every time. from top, bottom, everywhere. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Any? See upside down. Any questions so far? We'll work on this with side control, and then we'll go in and do some other variations of it. Before anybody questions? No. All right. So a few details are, I think a couple people have the question of when they extend, it's not submitting as fast as they want it to, as far as the elbow can break, right? So do it on me real quick. So if you're just half that, like a little bit looser, and then try to extend, it takes longer to get tap. But if you go deeper, like over the center line, now bring it back, tapping far quicker. So the farther that elbow can go in, like if the center line, I'm going to the center line or farther, depending on the person you're doing it to's shoulder flexibility, right? So that answers, I think, a lot of the questions that I was asked. Like, farther you can drive that arm, and again, like, test your training partner's flexibilities for shoulders. Some of them are like you. One person's like you are like you. Everybody else, you're the 1%. So we can't have nice things. And then some people just have normal flexible, like inflexible shoulders like me. So as soon as you get even close to the middle line, like I'm going to tap pretty quickly. The way I figured out what the mirror lock even was an accident. So somebody was trying to do a Choi bar. So the Choi bar starts with a shoulder crunch, right? And we have a black belt in our gym who loves the Choi bar and gets everybody with it. So one day I found out there's this little bend in the elbow, and I can submit him from him doing the Choi bar. And you were about to tell. So, and then I was like, what was that? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, I don't know. And then someone else goes, oh, that's a mirror lock. And I go, oh, everything's named after somebody. Right? But it gave me the ability to, I love things with names, right? Once you figure out vocabulary in jiu-jitsu, you can use the internet to, like, do the research. So as soon as he's like, oh, I'm going to do the Choi bar again, I'm like, now I know that this is called the mirror lock. And the farther I dig this in, and again, brace, the same brace, right? It's the same finishing mechanism. The more I get it deeper, the more that tap's going to come quicker. But again, sometimes it becomes a stalemate. And then I'm like, I'm not going to let this go. And they're like, well, I'm not going to let this go. And I go, cool. And then we just wait. And then usually they give up. Because I'm like, I have the submission. You have sort of a submission. Like, your leg hasn't even come up yet. Some people who just get the shoulder crunch without the Choi bar, because Choi bar is kind of a newer move in jiu-jitsu, I'd say relatively. So, like if they just do the shoulder lock, that's it. Like as long as I get the bend in the elbow. Now, details on how you can get the shoulder lock without getting mirror locked is if you come up to my shoulder and then pull me in, there's no space for me to mirror lock. But if you shoulder crunch lazily from way down there, there's space. So watch out if you're on the bottom and you start getting mirror locked from shoulder crunching or Choi barring people. If you come up to the shoulder and bring me down, there's no space for me to bring the elbow. Does that make sense? Okay. That's how I just accidentally discovered it. And then my brain is weird and it's like, oh my God, this is an obscure move I've never heard of. Let's obsess over it for a year. I hope you all find a move one day that you can also obsess over that nobody else knows about and thinks that you're weird for even thinking about it. It's such a joy sometimes in jiu-jitsu to be so weird. What else? What else am I going to do for the mirror lock? What do we work on? Okay, so we can work on that actually, because I like action reaction, right? So thinking that things trigger other things so that you can easily remember things and we figured out the mechanics, right? We know how to finish it. Now, how do we trigger ourselves to see it or trigger ourselves to get it like sort of involuntarily? So as soon as he shoulder crunches me or Choi bars me, which is the same beginning of both, I can bring that in. Same brace, same hip control, bring it in as deep as I can. I block this if I can, and then get that time. And that's it. So try to do that. Person on bottom, do that lazy shoulder crunch. I know the proper shoulder crunch is to come up to the shoulder, but I tend to catch this a lot when people try to do a shoulder crunch. Because I try to keep them flat. And then they're like, I need to attack something. So they start to attack something from a flat position. And that gives me the Choi bar. Or sorry, the mirror lock. So many vocabulary words today. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
when you're leaning over like that, are you worried about him reinserting that outside butterfly hook.
This one?
To create, not get his hips back.
You can have a butterfly hook to begin with.
Okay.
I'm still getting the tap.
That's worse for me.
That's worse for you. Okay.
Like, this doesn't matter. It's this, right? As soon as I get him in a position, and he's almost worse off than if he got it on me, right? If he mirror locked me, I have the ability, like, I hope that he does it so correctly, right? That the elbow goes so deep that I can't go back. But if he doesn't, I can go back. Like, if you do a mirror lock and it's not super deep, I can start to go back. If it's super deep, I don't want to go back because I'm submitting myself, right? That's the beauty of the mirror lock there. So for his position, once I get the mirror lock, he can't go back because he has the floor behind him. So he can only go forward, and I am completely bracing on this. So it is a stalemate of he's not going anywhere. And now I'm getting that tap. So I love the top position from here. And again, like, I love when people start figuring out those shoulder crunches because they're really effective, right? Shoulder crunches like really are a good attacking position. And I'm pretty short, so people tend to be able to reach my shoulders pretty easily. So at the end of the day, I tend to catch this a lot and end up in stalemate, or hopefully I can shoot that before they can get too far into the Choi bar shoulder crunch realm. Any other questions? Okay, let's work on this, and then we'll quickly go over some like housekeeping after details.
Hey Ben,
Yes.
I have a question on this.
Please.
So let's say somebody's playing like a really defensive pushing game. Are you gonna like walk your upper body back and then kind of invite them to take that underhook, or would you more
Can you
grab it?
who's bottom, who's top, who's attacking? Because you can do it from both, right?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about if you're in the top half position and they're doing a great job framing on
your
you.
arms are bent though.
Their arms?
Your arms are bent if you're the bottom guy attacking.
Yeah, they're just framing on you just to maintain distance, right?
But you can still get it from if you're the top guy. You're saying you're attacking, then the top guy can attack him probably.
Right. So how would you do that? Would you like scoop the arm and go in like that? Okay.
So do you want to
Or
go?
would you rather bait the underhook?
So you're talking about if he is framing?
Yeah, here. So you're just gonna swing through?
It's just like I can't get it from here, so I have to get the right orientation. Right? Once I'm in the right orientation, he's already bending his own elbow, and it's already here. This doesn't matter. In fact, I can bring that away if I need to. Although I'm not usually worried about it. As soon as it gets locked in, you can push me if you want. I'm still gonna. Yeah, I'm just worried about getting it to the point. Like my worry is getting the elbow to the point where he starts to panic. Where he's like, "Oh no," because there's usually like you've been in submissions where like, and you probably relate to this hopefully, where like it gets so tight, but then they wait, and you're like, if I move an inch, I'm about to turn in any direction. And you kind of like have to like really think about the next steps. And the other guy just knows, and they're just like pivot. And you're just like, if I move in any direction, I'm going to attach. So I need to really think about my next moves. That I want that fear in any time I do a mirror lock, because like it should be that tight, right? As I drive. What are we gonna do? So switch positions. Someone had a great question, and that was actually the next step of the mirror lock is what if they let bar out before arm drag? Yeah. So as they limp arm out, like most limp arms will get you an arm drag anyway. Yeah. See how that naturally goes that way? I just need to give him space and then go with the arm. Like most arm drags, your opponent will give you most arm drags. It's hard to force an arm drag. You can force an arm drag. I'm not saying you can't, but like the better arm drags are when you make them do the thing that you want them to do, and then the arm drag is just the butter and hot knife and butter, right? So. Okay, just like skewer, he lifts arms out. Now I'm at the back. Or at least I'm going to the back. He's always defensive. He's always like, you're either mirror locking me or you're taking my back. This sucks. I don't like your half leg. Like, after practicing and then using this a lot on people, they should, number one, hate having underhooks on you. Number two, hate your half guard. Because then they're like, come on, man. Like, I can't do half guard on you. You're just always going to mirror lock me. You're like, get better underhooks, man. That should be your answer. So we can practice that, and we only have a few minutes for this practice, so we'll practice that. But I just want to go over housekeeping. Stand up. Most recently, and I think the biggest stage of jiu-jitsu, CGI, right? Bercholo, Tackett, semifinals. You watched it, right? One of the better jiu-jitsu matches of the century, everybody said. I saw that as a headline somewhere on the jiu-jitsu forum blog somewhere. They would do a lot of standing mirror locks. And so it's the same mechanics, right? Like if I was to do a standing mirror lock, I'd want to post so that I can protect, I can get to the point where it's deep. Now, because there's so much freedom in space and freedom in movement, he has still the ability to move out. But, like a wrestler will know, once I get here and you start to really push me away, like usually you have to push me all the way out, and that gives me all the space underneath to start to shoot. So, again, you can use the mirror locks, and they start to push away. Again, I can go drag. Or I can really dive in. When, as your shirt said? When in doubt, double leg. When in doubt, double leg. So yeah, so that's the scenario of standing. If you want to drill that, great. There's 5 more minutes. I don't want to like take up too much of your time, but I think the arm drag is much more of a common scenario because when you start to get a move on people in general, this applies to everything. They start to kind of know how to preemptively defend it more and more, which is great. They're evolving, and you have to evolve as well. Like most positions, like you start doing butterfly guard, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I know how to defend butterfly guard. That means you have to get the next steps and the next steps and get better and evolve your butterfly guard to get past their evolution of defense to it. So just like one more and half guard, and I start to, maybe I mirror locked him 17 times last week. Probably not, because Paul's really good at jiu-jitsu, but say in a imaginary scenario, in a video game, I mirror locked him 17 times, and he starts to go like, oh, I'm deep in. I keep my space still. See how like I use that, me? So I'm always cognizant of my distance. And I'm very cavalier about it earlier, but like the distance management is really important here. And when you start to do the mirror lock and it gets locked in, you kind of don't have to worry about the distance anymore because the distance is managed by his elbow in the pocket. But once he starts to defend before, I can still manage my distance pretty easily, right? If he limp arms out, I can drag him. If he starts to come in, I can manage that distance and still I move with him, right? And I still can put it in a pocket and force it if I need to. So I'm using distance management at all times. Now, hopefully you can get on enough people that you can just get it a bunch of times until they start to really learn. If they ask you how to defend it, be like, figure it out. No, you should actually teach them how to. Somebody was saying another question that was asked was if they got a shallow mirror lock, it was more elbow, and if they got the deeper mirror lock, it's more shoulder. And I would say neither of those things are wrong, because in my perspective, not a lot of things in jiu-jitsu are wrong. There's just more consequences and less consequences, and hopefully you make the choices that require less consequences over time, and that's how you refine your game. But if you can get shallow and it's the elbow and that hurts, and you get the tap, you got the tap. But he can still go backwards. That's the thing. So I'm not controlling his posture as much if it's shallow. As soon as I go deep, and he doesn't want to go back, because if he goes back, he's mirror locking himself. So that's why I like to go super deep with the elbow, because I want to control your posture at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Who knew there were so many details to such an obscure position? Any questions? Wow. So I guess we got a minute or 2 minutes. I don't know who's teaching next. But we don't want to intrude their space too much. But work on that limp arm just for a minute. Boom, limp arms. So you always have an answer, right? For whatever defense he has. Okay.